Welcome to the Microsoft lecture. In 1955, William Henry Gates III was born in Seattle, Washington, and his father, William Gates, was a Seattle attorney. His late mother, Mary Gates, was a school teacher, a University of Washington regent, and the chairwoman of United Way International. And here's this first slide is of Bill Gates in 1968. He's watching his friend, the future co-founder, Paul Allen, typing on a teletype terminal at the Lakeside School in Seattle in 1968. Profs at most colleges didn't even have a computer in 1968, but his parents bought it for their school. At 15, he found out that the University of Washington had a computer free between 2 a.m. and 6 a.m. He'd set his alarm, crawl out his window, and would run through the rain most of the time in Seattle for about 2 miles to play or program on this computer. Next slide you see is called a Trafodata. He started this company in 1972, his partnership with him and Paul Allen again, and then another guy named Paul Gilbert. The object was to read the raw data from the roadway traffic counters and create a useful report for traffic engineers. The company had only modest success, but the experience was significant in the creation of Microsoft a few years later. That year, Paul Gilbert, piece by piece, wire-wrapped, soldered, and assembled the electronic components of the world's basically first microcomputer. Paul Gilbert's brother, graphic designer, helped the company along by designing the company logo. Gates and Allen started writing software for it, and they tested the software that this Paul Allen had written and at Washington State University. They wrote it on an IBM 360. And in mid-1970s, the computer revolution started. And Gates was in his early 20s, basically the same exact age as Stephen Jobs, and basically the perfect age to take advantage of this revolution. 1975, Microsoft was born. Before he graduated, he left Harvard to form Microsoft with his friend, again, Paul Allen. The pair planned to develop software for the newly emerging personal computers that were on the market. Bill Gates' Microsoft company became famous for their computer operating systems and the killer business deals. For example, Bill Gates talked IBM into letting Microsoft retain the licensing rights to MS-DOS, which is Microsoft Disk Operating System, so that they needed one on the personal computer. Gates proceeded to make a fortune from licensing the PC-DOS, which was his own version of the disk operating system. It's talking about 1981. There's a quote out from an early email from Tandy President John Roche. I don't think it's significant when he's talking about the microcomputer field. In 1980, IBM first approached Bill Gates to just talk and discuss the state of home computers and the Microsoft products. Gates gave IBM a few ideas on what to make a great home computer, and they basically started writing. As for operating systems, Microsoft had never written an operating system before, so he suggested that IBM investigate an old OS system or operating system called Control Program, or CP-M. Well, anyway, the guy that had written this was Gary Kildare. Anyway, long story short, they ended up remaking this into Microsoft Disk Operating System, or MS-DOS. It was also sometimes based on something called QDOS, which is Quick and Dirty Operating System. And he basically bought this, bought the rights for about $50,000, and Microsoft bought that rights to the QDOS for $50,000 and kind of had it rewritten and made billions of dollars off of it. Here, Gates then talked IBM into letting him retain the rights, like I said, and he proceeded to make a fortune from licensing that. And in 1981, Tim Patterson quit Seattle Computer Products and found employment at Microsoft, which is kind of ironic. Oops, give it here. So let's try that. 1983, they launch Windows, Microsoft Windows. On November 10th, 1983, In New York City, Microsoft introduced Microsoft Windows. In late 83, he wanted to get some attention, like Stephen Jobs was doing a great job with the media and was a whiz at those sorts of things. So he made a teaser package to introduce the windowing system, and it was a little press kit that he created. And in the press kit, you'll see it in the photo that consists of a cardboard box. It was about 7 by 7 by 3 inches, so it wasn't real big. And it was, the outside was done in Microsoft's forest green, and it said, "Look inside for news about a major announcement on the future of software." Particular advertising copy, unlike, it was an understatement, obviously, of actual shipping product. Microsoft was highly premature in sending this out. Basically, Microsoft is still pretty much the poster child for not making deadlines. And they kind of made it, it's kind of called vaporware, where it's kind of supposed to be out, but it's not really out yet. They didn't actually ship until November 1985. So that was 2 years after the announcement made that it, and they thought it would take about 6 man years of effort, in other words, 6 years of development, and it ended up taking 90 man years to get the thing developed. In 2000, he was married, and his wife Melinda established the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Since that time, he's had children, and he has become very much of a benefactor for a lot of different foundations, and they pour a lot of money, and they've done a lot of good things in this world. I think Melinda Gates was really good for him, and has become very much very benevolent and philanthropic in the area of global health and global learning.